Hey everybody, welcome back to virtual ice carving, Joliet Junior College ice carving class CA 150. Here we are in my beautiful backyard again. I'm all the way to this side of the house, just so that we have grass behind the ice carving in the wall, because I think the color of that will make it's dark, and so you'll be able to see more rather than looking through the transparent ice. All right, so today we're going to try and make a swordfish for you. And we have a block of ice right now that we drew the swordfish details onto it, the template. And now what we'll do is we'll actually use the chainsaw. We'll punch out the template like we always do. And after that, we'll start doing the shaping on it. So the swordfish is going to have the skinny sword, obviously a wider head. Then after the gills behind the head, the body starts to taper down skinny until it gets to that bottom fin. So we're going to go ahead and start using our chainsaw right now to cut it. And again, when we think of the steps of making this, we have the design that we know fits in. One thing we don't talk about too much is when we make the ice carving, we have to make sure we make our picture or template. You have to make sure it's going to fit in the ice. And a lot of times I know that I've had a lot of people that have made mistakes where they want to do a certain ice carving, and so they get a picture of, oh, say a swordfish or an angel or something like that, and they take the picture and they get the paper, the big butcher paper, and they just kind of blow it up and draw the picture, forgetting that the picture has to fit within the sides parameters of the ice and the height of the ice. And all of a sudden it's too wide and the picture doesn't fit, and they can't do that, and they got to redraw the whole thing. So we actually start with measuring the paper first, put our box on the paper so we know how big the picture can be, and then draw the picture inside that side. Okay, so here we go. We're going to get our safety wear on, and then our chainsaw fired up, and we'll start our swordfish ice carving. All right, stay tuned. curves where we have something that's an inside cut like your armpit as opposed to an outside cut like your shoulder. When you look at an inside cut, it's very hard for the chainsaw to make those tight turns. An outside cut, it's different because this part of it's coming off anyway. So if I kind of cut into that, it doesn't matter as I make my curve. Here, an inside cut, I'm going to cut into one of the pieces that I want to still keep. So sometimes what we'll do then is just cut along it rather than making each little curve, we'll cut straight above it and then go back and sand those curves out after that. All right. So the part that we're at now, we have our whole template cut out, right? And so parts of it, like up here, my fin, I'm going to bring my fin more into the center of the body. So if the body's rounded, the fin runs down the center like a mohawk, right? The bottom, where his tail fin is, on the sides of it are actually just going to be kind of splashes of waves. So we're going to actually take his tail fin, that'll be in the front. We'll bring the splashes of waves in the behind it, so it looks like he's kind of leaping out of the water and doing the jump out of the water and then coming back down for a splash. Right? So now what I'm going to do is I want to taper his body to start getting him a little more aerodynamic in shape. This is where the depth or the three-dimensional part comes in because it's still a one-dimensional template right now. So now we'll start to go to the 2D and 3D of getting it where it's really tapered and sloped, and some parts are in back, some parts are in front, so we really get it to look more of a 3D ice carving. now we're going to switch to the second side and start to round up the back a little bit. You notice how I can look through the ice to see the depth of my chainsaw, right? We're going to look right through it to see how deep I'm cutting. Okay, so we're doing pretty good now. We can see the shape. We can see the fins, right? We got the side fin here, the pectoral and the dorsal fin underneath, right? And so we really are getting the different sides of the fish really starting to come to life right now. And our goal is, as we're making it, is really to get the fish to look realistic. It could look cartoonish, which is totally fine. A lot of times for buffet pieces, ice carvers have a tendency to make them more cartoon-like rather than real life-like. And the reason is because, again, we talked about this already. The ice carvings last longer because they're fatter and they're less small detailed, like realistic. Like the fin on this fish would be very, very thin, like thinner than my fingers. That would melt away in about 15 minutes on a buffet. So we're going to make it kind of fat because we want it to last for a long time. All right, now that we got that, what we're going to do is we're going to take out and start sanding other parts to be able to make it come alive a lot more. Let me switch out my saw. And we're going to take some of our different bits here. We'll use a burr rasp first. And the burr rasp is going to allow me to get down alongside of it and really start to kind of separate where there's chunks of ice I couldn't reach with the chainsaw, the burr rasp will allow me to get in there and get those pieces. So I want to also show you, as I'm using the burr rasp with the point, I can get up underneath the fins. And the goal is I want to get up underneath it so that I can make it look like it's not attached to the waves, like it's really standing out on its own, even though it's still frozen together. But by undercutting a little bit, like here, I can make it look like it's a completely fragile standalone ice carving. clean off a little bit of snow. Take off a little more on this bottom fin. I think that looks pretty good so far. All right, we're going to switch over to a flat sander just to really smooth it out and get rid of any ripples left behind by this one. And then we're getting close to making our details. Okay, flat sander for this one. And this will help us to really get the real aerodynamic straight shape to it. That's real smooth and curved, and that gets a little smaller and skinnier as it goes down. So notice now how that really got smooth and really shows like the details of his body being like aerodynamic. Right? Let's see, we'll do the back fin. We're going to switch over to another bit. Oh, it's over here. Hold on 1 second. And this one's a little smoother than the other orange burr, so it allows us to get into the ice without taking too much away. The other one's got the pointy tip, and so it can be kind of aggressive. All right, now we want to be able to get in along the fin and just smooth the fin out. Excuse me, smooth that fin out just a little tiny bit. You'll notice, the other thing I want to say, as we're doing the fin right now, I'm going to do it on a little bit of an angle, which kind of gives, again, motion to the fish, like the fish is jumping out and twisting as it's coming back. Right, that really gave it a lot of nice curve. Now on the swordfish, the top fin is never perfect like this one is. It's a fish, right? So as they swim, the fins kind of flare out a bit in between each fin bone, and then they'll get ruined a little bit, or they get chipped up or bit by other fish. So they're kind of a little bit scalloped on top, but lots of times they're totally uneven too. So we're going to do that. pretty good. Now we're going to move over to one of our other bits. We'll go to our knife bit. And our knife bit, we can do a lot of different things. For one, and actually before I do this one, we're going to switch over to a regular V bit real quick. And I'm going to engrave a little side, like the side dorsal fin on them. So you can see the shapes now of the fin, the eye, the gill, and then we're going to make the other waves in the back one, and then we'll finish his top fin on the very top surface too. The other thing is on the swordfish, they have kind of like little their polka dots almost on the top of their fin, and then they run down their body too, just like a decoration. All right. Now we're going to switch over to a bubble bit, and we'll help. That'll help us to make his eye a little more rounded, kind of with a real fish eye look. All right. I think that looks pretty nice. The very last thing we'll do is we're gonna look at his sword part. We can take that down. I should say his sword, his bottom lip. We're gonna round that out a little bit, just because it's kind of square looking. And then what I was saying before in the beginning, where we'll kind of undercut the fish to make it look like it stands out from the backdrop, that they're not frozen. I'm just going to do that where the wave meets his body. I'm going to undercut that just a little bit as a last thing. And I think that'll really give me the finished look of that he's separate and going to splash onto the wave. right, and one last thing that I see that I didn't do there is the second fin on the other side. I didn't decorate that one. So I want to decorate it from this side so that when you look at the fish, you can see that the other side is also decorated. All right, so we'll try and remove a little bit of the snow. We want to try and remove as much as we can by hand because if I put water on it, it's going to turn to thick slush. So remove that first. All right, let's add our water to it. Give the fish a little extra water. All right. There we are with the swordfish ice carving. Um, this one is great. So this is a really good one to put on buffets because it allows us to have something that's dramatically tall. Because the fact it jumps into the air, that the sword part is facing upward, it draws people's eyes up to the table and looks very elegant and really prestigious and cool on a table. I think cool is probably the best word, right? But you can see the detail work of it, that we have the mouth, the bottom lip. We tapered it a little bit in under the top snout of it so that the lip, the mouth on the bottom was, the way that they really are is they have a top jaw and their bottom is smaller that fits underneath. So we tapered that in a little bit. We rounded the fish eye to have more of a realistic eye. A lot of, especially beginner carvers, what they'll do is they'll poke the eye with the V-bed, and they really just poke it out, right? It's kind of left a hole there. We want to go around it to actually have that more of the marble there, the fish eye, right? We sanded his body, made it look kind of aerodynamic, and then we made all of our lines. The most important thing to remember, all of our lines are curvy and flowy, right? Nothing at all on there is straight, right? And that's what really gives us that look of nature because everything is so curvy in nature. There really no straight lines like we talked about. You look at something like coral. Coral is totally wild and curvy shaped right? It's not even the branches of it are not straight sticks, right? So Anyway, that quick, we got a nice swordfish jumping out of the water. Really cool thing to put on your seafood buffet or on a Sunday brunch or, at a wedding if there's a seafood table, anything like that. Pretty cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed this ice carving today. Hope you're enjoying ice carving class. And I know virtual ice carving isn't as fun as actually you doing the work, but hopefully by you getting step-by-step directions and get to see me carve the whole thing, start to finish, hopefully you get to see the process and really get to understand it a little more. Cool. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me. See you later.